Chicago is no stranger to ghosts. You have Resurrection Mary, Bachelor's Grove Cemetery, but there's one other.
What's that?
A ghost car.
Sweet!
And we're going to tell you all about it. Right now, we're currently in Brighton Park neighborhood, close to Chicago, and we're walking down South Damon Street. Now, we're trying to take you and show you one particular house that's going to start our story for the ghost car. Now, this story is a tragic story of two girls that were murdered back in 1956. So we're walking up to this house right here, this two-story brown one. This is 3634 South Damon Avenue. Now, back in 1956, this was the home of Barbara and Patricia Grimes. They were two of six children. Their parents had been divorced for about 11 years, and their dad remarried. Now, on the night of December 28th, 1956, these two girls, probably much like any other night, were going to go catch a movie. That's simple, right? So they left their home here with $2.50 between the both of them around 7:30 that night to go have a little bit of fun. It's hard to say whether this house is still original. I mean, it could be. It very well could be. But, I mean, we're talking about 1956 here. So, it's a possibility some reconstruction may have happened. But still, nonetheless, this is the property in the area where the two girls lived. The girls made their way, I'd say probably about 1.5 miles from their home to this area right in front of you. Now, obviously, they didn't come to an empty lot. What they were coming to was the Brighton Theater here on Archer Avenue behind us. Now, this particular theater was demolished in September of 2003. That's why it's no longer here. But they were coming to see Love Me Tender for like the 15th time. You know, the new Elvis Presley movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's all the rage probably back then. They loved Elvis, huh?
Everybody loves Elvis. He's the king.
Unfortunately, the girls never returned home after the movie. Mom became worried, obviously. She contacted the cops. This essentially became a huge case, like in the Chicago area, with a lot of manpower and a lot of hours poured into this case. People from as far as Tennessee started calling in with reports of stating they saw the girls. Elvis Presley himself even went as far as to say, you know, just get the girls back home. The FBI became involved because at 2 points the mom received ransom letters. It was a huge missing persons case for that time. And the girls were missing for several days. Now, cops wanted to tell the mom, Loretta, that maybe the girls ran away. And she was like, that's a crazy idea because they left with barely any money. They left with some, you know, they left the house with their cool new Christmas presents still here because Christmas had just happened. She was like, there's no way. They didn't have any clothes or anything. Well, on January 22nd, 1957, we would actually learn that that was indeed the case. The girls had not ran away and something much worse had happened to them. On January 22nd, 1957, a man by the name of Leonard Prescott would be traveling east on this road you see running just behind me. And this road's name is called German Church Road. As he's heading toward the grocery store, he would notice two objects on the side of the road that he thought were mannequins, store mannequins. So he went back home and he picked up his wife, and the two of them came for a closer look. And what they found was that they were not store mannequins, but they were indeed the bodies of Barbara and Patricia Grimes. Now, they immediately contacted police, and police lined this street. Now, there's plenty of photos online showing them scouring the area looking for evidence to who could have done this to these two girls. We're getting closer to the area where they would have actually found their bodies. Now, upon seeing them, they were both naked. Barbara was laying face down, with Patricia lying perpendicular to her. Barbara's face had a lot of contusions, and Patricia had puncture marks in her chest that were consistent with an ice pick. But the first initial autopsy with the girls would conclude that they passed away due to the elements, because in January 9th and 10th, a big snowstorm had come through this area, and basically when Leonard Prescott came through here, all the snow was starting to melt, and that's how he was able to see the bodies. Now, initially, he would say that the damages, like the puncture wounds to the chest and the damages to the face, that those were consistent with like animals, like from them laying out here and, you know, animals coming and messing with the bodies. But that would come into question later on when another chief investigator got involved, when he was saying these wounds weren't consistent with like animals. It was also concluded that during the autopsy that the food in their stomach was the food that they had had for supper that night before going to see the Elvis Presley movie, which would mean they died at around 4 hours after, you know, leaving. Now, that chief investigator would say there was inconsistency with that, because he said there was milk found in Barbara's stomach, and that Barbara, in fact, did not have milk for supper or at the movie theater. So, that would prove that was false. He also stated that there was initial flubbing too, like with the autopsy, because the ice that was formed on their bodies would mean that they were warm when they were put here. And they're saying basically, you know, they were just kind of dumped here right after. Now, this would work out with a lot of people, because they came forward and said that they actually seen the two girls around town, like after they left the theater.
Right.
So that would coincide with the milk being in her stomach, you know, them being brought out here later than what they thought. It was somewhere down here. And you imagine all the cops just out here looking. This is where they would have been.
I'm sure it wasn't this grown up
back
then, you know, all these trees and bushes and everything. Especially for somebody to have seen them once the snow started there, that all this had to have not even been any trees here.
Because one picture is like I guess it's a culvert. It was like a concrete circular thing that they're kind of searching around.
That's probably what you're standing on right now. That's what this
because it looks like a platform down there.
Yeah. Like, this obviously has been newer and updated, but It was probably this that you're standing on now with the water running through it.
On January 28th, they held a funeral for the girls. Now, what you're looking at in front of you, this is St. Maurice Church, and actually Patricia went to grade school here. Now, lots of people attended this, even the mayor came. Now, it's reported that their mom was completely just devastated, as any mom would be, but she collapsed several times. You know, finally being reunited with her two girls, which were laid to rest in 2 white caskets, and they had pictures of each on top of each casket. Following the discovery of the girls' bodies, the police had interviewed several people and basically dismissed them. Now, there was one primary suspect by the name of Benny Bedwell that they arrested. Now, Benny actually confessed to the murders, but later it was disproven, like no way he could have done it. And it said that the only reason he confessed was because he was coerced by Cook County police, and he was tired of the police beatings he was receiving. Now, it's also important to note that Benny was mentally challenged also, so someone being of that mental capacity may have been easily, like, you're the one that did it, you're the one, you did it, like that type of thing, until eventually they just say yes.
They picked up Benny Bedwell, the Skid Row dishwasher, who was a man of limited intellectual capability, and likely coerced a confession out of him and led him on to explain how he killed the girls. But there was really nothing beyond minor circumstantial evidence to convince law enforcement he was guilty.
At the coroner's inquest, Loretta sat with Bedwell's mom, and at one point hugged her and said, "Don't worry, I know your son didn't do this."
The charges made by Bedwell must be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, and he should be made to testify at this inquest and repeat these charges in front of our family. Our children are dead and cannot deny these lies, but our family must live with them. We demand an absolute vindication until proven otherwise.
Basically, his confession was totally bogus. Couldn't read or write, but came up with a 6-page typewritten confession. The autopsy disputed everything he said, so.
We are currently trying to find the final resting place of the Grimes sisters. And so according to the GPS and the coordinates, it says that we should be walking straight towards it, but it's somewhere out here in the middle. We think we're looking for Platt Headstone. So here it is.
They just told me I arrived. Actually, this is good.
Grimes, Barbara, and Patricia. So despite the numerous law enforcement involvement they had with this case, it still remains unsolved today. Now, they told the mama, like, whenever the 2 daughters passed away, she volunteered at the Bridewell prison, which was kind of close to where their bodies were found. And the police officers promised her that they would never give up on the case. But in 1989, Loretta passed away, I think at the age of 83, and still never knew, like, who did that to her daughters.
That's kind of messed up.
Now, from when I was researching it, there was like some additional information that came forth. Apparently, after the girls were found, there were some teenage boys that were brought in for questioning, and their whereabouts with, the girls' whereabouts the night they went missing kind of coincide together. Like, it puts them kind of in their vicinity. So, like, these people, the people that discovered this information was like, hey, you guys need to investigate this. But I don't think anything ever came out of it.
I started looking at the Grimes case in 2006. I was in a McKinley Park Facebook group, and an individual within that group pointed out, do you ever know anything about the Grimes case? In 1956, I was 6 years old, and I can recall Chicago police coming to our apartment door and asking my mom, questions, and I overheard the conversation. Have you seen two girls? These girls went missing. It sparked, an interest, absolutely.
Initially, after I left police work, like most cops, I thought about writing a book. I was really curious about the case, and then as I was digging into the case, I started coming across things that didn't make sense.
It became almost an obsession with me. I would spend hours and hours and stay up looking at information. Just something would poke my interest, and I'd pursue it as much as I could. This is the article that really impacted my life and has set in motion everything that I've done. These four individuals happen to have been in the same area, the same intersection, at about the same time as the girls were expected to have made it to that intersection. Absolutely mind-blowing coincidental.
He said he had forced them out of the car naked as a joke, but he didn't have anything to do with killing them.
When you know something like this and find this information out, it needs to be shared, and someone's got to act upon it. And that's what troubles me, is that with all of the people from Cook County Sheriff's Department that I've shared this with, they have not followed through as they said they would.
How about you, Detective? Are you hopeful of solving it?
We always hope to solve it. We're hoping all the time, and sometime maybe with a little bit of luck we'll be able to solve it.
So we've returned here to German Church Road.
That's where we're at.
We're going to talk about the first haunting that has to do with the Grimes sisters. It is believed that here on this road there is a residual haunting, and it is believed that this residual haunting comes from a memory or thought from the killer. Now, people that are walking up and down this particular stretch of road that we are currently walking down report to hear a vehicle pull up, stop, pop the trunk, a sound as if they're tossing something out of the trunk, and quickly they get back in the car and speed away. That is where the haunting of the ghost car of German Church Road comes from. We're going to talk about one more, and it's a ghost house.
A ghost house and a ghost car? Man, we on the right freaking road.
For the second part of the ghost story, we're in Bridle Path of Burr Ridge. Now, this is a super bougie little subdivision now, but back in the day, there was a house that sat back here. Now, it's no longer there, but this house was known as the Ghost House. Now, apparently, whenever the police officers found the bodies of the Grimes girls, this house was abandoned almost immediately. It was reported that there were dishes still on the table, toys still left in the house, all kinds of family possessions still left there. Now, it's speculated, they don't know really why that is. Maybe there was a squatter in the house, and with all the heat of the police coming in around the area, they didn't want to be a part of it, so they just dipped out and left. Another theory is that maybe the person that, did these horrible acts to the girls actually lived there, and once the bodies were discovered, they cut out and left. So we're going to circle back around through the neighborhood and show you where the house is supposedly would have sat. So right here, this super nice house is currently in the northeast corner of this subdivision. Now, this is where the house would have sat. Now, they speculate that maybe the house burned down in the 1980s, but according to what I've researched, it was a bi-level ranch-style building with a sunken garage. Now, it's like I said, they just up and abandoned everything, including a new car. But, back in the day, this was a hot spot for teenagers to come back here and dare to brave the house back here.
Well, that does it for this ghostly tale of the ghost car of German Church Road.
You just pulled my hair when you did that. And the tragic tale of Barbara and Patricia Grimes.
Yeah, a lot of bad stuff going on with that. I was kind of hoping to get to hear the car, though, while we were out there in the area.
Not late enough, probably.
Yeah, still a little too busy. That was kind of a busy road, active road. So. Well, big shout out to our VIP Road Warrior Patreon member, the Crypt Lady. Thank you for your patronage. Check out our Patreon if you'd like to become a member, and comes with different perks, and there's a level for everybody. Until next time, catch you guys down the road at the next exit.
Keep it spooky.
Later.